Hi, I'm Eleonora, and this is Coscienza Femminile, the podcast that challenges patriarchy and rewrites history. Welcome to this new episode. Since I often receive comments asking me to pay more attention to the male condition, I thought I'd dedicate an episode to this subject. But first, let me make a clear statement about my position. I, like many other feminist content creators, I'm often criticized for going on about equality and discrimination while forgetting about men. If my channel is called Coscienza Femminile, in English, female consciousness, there's a reason. I still believe that broad, all-inclusive movements don't actually get us anywhere. They fail to bring about real results. I believe feminism should remain united, yes, but act in a more decentralized and practical way. It wasn't men who planted the seeds of female emancipation. It was women themselves, through small consciousness-raising groups, who met, discussed, and realized they were living under unjust conditions. Sure, some men supported them, but this movement was born out of women's efforts alone. So why is it that feminism is now expected to include men too? I find that paradoxical. The truth is, movements like this cannot be exported. They must grow from within, from a genuine need for change. From my perspective, masculinity is paradoxical. Even though men often criticize the competitive system that pressures them, they continue to fuel it. Work, instead of liberating them, traps them in lives full of pressure and expectations, often pushing them to self-destructive extremes. This system hurts everyone, but women have historically paid the highest price for it, and they've had enough. They've stood up. Men, despite being oppressed in a different way, still benefit, especially economically, from this system. So they don't have much of an initiative to dismantle it. That's why today male listeners are especially invited to take a sit, sip some chamomile tea, and follow the episode to the end before jumping to conclusions. And to all my female listeners, drop your thoughts in the comments. Masculinity is not a biological given, but a social construct, shaped and reinforced throughout everyday life. From birth, boys are placed in a system that assigns them rigid gender roles. The clothes they wear, the toys they're given, the expectations placed upon them. All of it shapes their identity and their understanding of what it means to be a real man. For boys, this socialization process involves the suppression of emotions deemed weak, like sadness and fear. Phrases like "don't cry like a girl" or "be strong" become mantras that teach them masculinity equals toughness, emotional control, and independence. And the consequences, one of the most serious is the emotional illiteracy. Many men grow up without the tools to name, recognize, or manage their feelings. So, when they experience failure, loss, or stress, they don't know how to express their pain. And since society teaches them that the only acceptable emotion is anger, they turn to it as an outlet. This doesn't just affect their personal lives. It has enormous social consequences. Men are more likely to suffer from addiction, depression, and suicide. They are also the primary perpetrators of violence, not because they are biologically predisposed to it, but because they were never taught healthier ways to cope with their distress. Cultural constructions of masculinity are reinforced by every social setting. In peer groups, boys learn early on that to gain respect, they must demonstrate strength and dominance. Competition is encouraged from a young age. Who's the strongest, the fastest, the best at sports? Kindness and empathy are seen as weaknesses. Media plays its part too. In action films, the hero is often a lone wolf, invincible, emotionless, and violent. In video games, male characters are usually soldiers, criminals, or warriors, figures that glorify a hyper-aggressive ideal of manhood. For many, violence becomes more than a tool. It becomes a language, a way to assert control, to regain self-worth in a world that taught them they must dominate to earn respect. This is why men are more likely to commit domestic violence and other crimes. They were raised to believe that losing control is shameful, but controlling others is a mark of strength. One of the most damaging aspects of toxic masculinity is the paradox it imposes. Men must appear strong and confident while being deprived of tools to truly be either. Many men live in constant anxiety that they are not men enough. They're expected to be successful, to earn enough to protect their families, but any failure is perceived as a threat to their identity. And since showing vulnerability is off limits, these feelings often become isolation, aggression, or self-destructive behavior. Suicide is a leading cause of death among men, especially those facing financial hardships or job loss. This because hegemonic masculinity ties a man's worth to his productivity and power. If he fails in these areas, he feels worthless. Toxic masculinity also damages romantic relationships. Many men can't express emotional needs or communicate effectively with partners. This creates distance, frustration, and emotional isolation, fueling cycles of violence and resentment. So, how do we change things? The answer isn't to eliminate masculinity, but to transform it, to make it more inclusive, more emotionally open. One of the most powerful tools in emotional education, teaching boys how to identify and express their emotions without shame, can fundamentally change the way they grow up. This isn't about feminizing boys, but about giving them more tools to navigate life. Media representation also plays a critical role. We need more models of men who are vulnerable, empathic, and still worthy of admiration. The more we see these alternatives, the more we normalize them. Lastly, it's crucial to create safe, non-competitive spaces for men to talk about their feelings. Consciousness-raising groups for men are on the rise and offer a rare opportunity to explore masculinity in healthy ways. Change won't come overnight, but masculinity isn't a destiny, it's a construction, and what is built can be rebuilt. In recent years, the phenomenon of alpha man has spread through social media, motivational coaching, and online male-dominated circles. This trend promotes a version of masculinity rooted in dominance, control, aggression, and financial success, portrayed as the only legitimate way to be a man. This narrative doesn't just repackage old stereotypes, it thrives in a society where even many women have internalized these roles as normal and desirable. So this final section will explore how the alpha man trend perpetuates toxic masculinity and why some women, despite criticizing it, are still drawn to men who embody it. The concept of the alpha male has roots in a misinterpretation of wolfpack behavior, a theory later debunked by the very scientists who first proposed it. Still, it was adopted by male-dominated movements as a model of the ideal man: dominant, ambitious, sexually assertive, always in control. Male influencers push this ideal through books, videos, and self-improvement courses. The message is clear: avoid emotions, treat women as trophies, earn money as a form of validation, and assert dominance over other men. And the only path to success is through control and aggression. One reason the alpha male model thrives is that many women, often unconsciously, are conditioned to see these behaviors as manly and attractive. From childhood, we are taught to associate certain traits with gender. Strength, independence, and aggression are labeled masculine, while care, emotion, and submission are feminine. Even when women rationally reject toxic masculinity, they may still feel emotionally drawn to it, because society has trained them to do so. So let's break this down. Family and cultural models. If a girl grows up seeing dominant men and submissive women, that becomes her default relationship model. Media and romantic narratives. Films and books often depict the strong, silent man as an ideal partner, while sensitive, emotionally available men are seen as weak or unattractive. Objectification theory by Fredrickson and Roberts. So women learn to view themselves through the male gaze, valuing their worth by how well they attract dominant men. In this context, being chosen by an alpha can feel like social validation. This is why some women criticize toxic masculinity yet find themselves attracted to it. It's what they've been taught to desire. Today, many women demand independence and equality in relationships, thanks God. Yet, some still feel drawn to unequal dynamics. Why? This conflict can be explained by cognitive dissonance, the tension between personal beliefs and internalized desires. A woman may consciously want a healthy relationship but feel emotionally pulled towards dominant men because that's what society taught her was normal. Research shows that women who identify with traditional gender ideologies are more likely to accept power-imbalanced relationships. Self-objectification, evaluating oneself from the male point of view, reinforces this. If a woman's self-worth is tied to male approval, she is more likely to seek out dominant partners. So, how to break the cycle? Breaking free from this conditioning takes time and effort, but it is possible. Here's how we can start. Gender education. Teach that masculinity is not a monolith. Show boys and girls that there are many valid ways of being a man. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's authenticity. Deconstructing media tropes. Promote stories with emotionally literate male characters and relationships based on mutual respect and equality. Feminist self-awareness. Women must work on recognizing the social conditioning behind their desires and expectations of men. Redefine desirability. If society only offers one model of male attractiveness, we must actively normalize others, sensitive, communicative, emotionally intelligent men. To change the narrative, we need to act on several levels: education, media, culture, and personal reflection. Only by challenging these deeply rooted norms can we build healthier, more balanced relationships, not based on power and fear, but on freedom and authenticity. Thank you for watching until the end. If you've made it this far, please leave a comment with your thoughts, opinions, or any questions you might have. I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss an update, and of course, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what topics you'd like to see in the future episodes, and make sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok, always Coscienza Femminile, for extra content and updates. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon with a brand new episode. Who we are is ours to define.